The book I read and doing my project on is Go Ask Alice. The author of this book is quite complicated, as this is a diary published by a therapist in the 1970s, 1971 to be exact. The original author is unknown, and the publisher and editor is Beatrice Sparks. Due to Beatrice adding some parts to the diary to make it easier to read, it is widely accepted by many as a fiction book. Beatrice Sparks has also published another book called Jay's Journal, which is very similar to Go Ask Alice, but with Jay's Journal, we know the author. I'd rate this book 9 out of 10 and recommend it to anyone within the age of 12 to 25, as most people within this age range can really relate to this book. Yes, there are spoilers. During the exposition, Alice starts as a sensitive freshman girl who cares about her crush Roger, her weight, and she hates school. As the story continues into the rising action, Alice moves during the summer, and that means a new school. She goes to her grandparents over the summer and meets up with old friends. She goes to a party and unknowingly gets a drink spiked with LSD. She has a great trip, but afterwards vows to never do it again. Later in the rising action, she falls to peer pressure and keeps experimenting with drugs and ends up losing her virginity while on acid. The summer ends, and she goes to a new school and meets a popular girl named Chris. Chris has a boyfriend who is in college named Richie. Alice and Chris start pushing drugs for Richie and his roommate Ted. During the climax, Chris catches Richie having sex with Ted, and they report them to the police. Then they decide to run away to San Francisco, where they both vow to stay clean. Chris gets a job with a girl named Sheila. They later learn that Sheila and her boyfriend would drug and rape them. So they quit their jobs, go back home around Christmas. Chris and Alice vow to never do drugs again, but then a few weeks later, get caught by police with drugs and are thrown on probation. Chris and Alice get fed up and run away again. During the following action, Alice decides to speak to a priest after coming back. A few months later, while in her room, she loses consciousness and thinks she has a flashback caused by LSD residue in the spine cavity. Meanwhile, she continues to get harassed at school by people who want her to do drugs and know about her past. Despite this, she manages to make friends at school again with the good kids, and even writes in her diary saying she won't be writing much because she does not need a diary to talk to. She has friends now. Then someone plants a joint in her purse. In the resolution, which are the last few journal entries, Alice appears to really go downhill. After she loses her new friends, she is babysitting and accidentally eats LSD-laced peanuts. The next journal entry, Alice says she wakes up in a hospital, fingers chewed to the bone. Alice's old friends falsely accuse her of selling drugs, and she ends up in a mental hospital. 3 weeks after the diary stops, Beatrice Sparks states that Alice died of an overdose, and it is not clear if it is an accident or on purpose. After Alice dies, her old friends retract their statements. There are several complicated conflicts in this story. One of them is when Alice loses her virginity, she is also high on acid. This makes her feel extra guilty. Another one is when Chris finds her boyfriend cheating. This, combined with the fact that she has no one else to rely on, made for the perfect storm for her and Alice to run away. The third complicated conflict is when the girls try heroin for the first time. As they try heroin, they realize they are being taken advantage of and run home. There were also several good quotes in this book, one of them being, "I'm afraid to live and afraid to die." Alice feels that what she has done is unforgivable and is afraid to live with the consequences of her actions, but also does not want to die. Another good quote is, "It is a good thing most people bleed on the inside, or this world will be a bloody, gory, smeared earth." Alice says this after talking to a bunch of runaways and realizes everyone has their own demons on the inside. They just never show it. One question I had is, why wouldn't you report Sheila for raping you? And I inferred that she didn't report Sheila, 1, because she is a runaway, 2, because she has no money, and 3, because she doesn't want to get in trouble for doing drugs. The writing style of this book is a diary, and I would say the most memorable moment in this book is when Alice runs away for the first time, because it was very unexpected. Just to wrap it up, the book I read was Go Ask Alice, and the author was anonymous. I predicted that after this book, Alice will end up overdosing and Chris will end up running away again. I really like this book because it has the main characters as someone around my age, and at the beginning you can really relate to the way she views life in school, etc. I would rate this book 9 out of 10 and think high school kids would really enjoy this book because they can relate to it more than most adults. I think what really made this book good was the fact that it was based on a real diary and real events that actually happened.